Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Wow. Ready to dive into the deep end? I love seeing some of your faces on my screen. I can't see everybody when we share slides, but there's people singing and swaying, and I love that kind of stuff because it means we're all involved and we are taking that deeper dive, which is totally awesome. So I'm excited to be with you for a few minutes this morning and talk about dipping our toe into spirituality, or are we going to take a little bit of a deeper dive? One of the things that Cheryl and Reverend Roxanne talked about was having this as a theme for 2022. They haven't come up with the exact phrase yet, so I'm saying diving into the deep end. They might turn up with a little bit different idea, but what we're ready to do is dive in a little deeper. So there's some ways to think about this that we'll discuss this morning. You see a Zoom screen share there. I was always excited when there's already a talk decided, and this was decided a few weeks ago. Reverend Roxanne was speaking a few weeks ago, and one of her slides was this one, the 3 R's of release: reflect, reveal, and release. And I thought, oh, that's about water too. Water has reflection. Clear water reveals the bottom area, lets us look through the water down to the lower parts, the deeper dive. And release with water is about water being movement and flow and allowing us to be in that flow. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then Reverend Paul was talking last week, and he brought up the Dead Sea, and he talked about being in the flow of life. And the idea of releasing is when we can release but be in the flow, because anything that does not have flow in and out is like the Dead Sea. It gets stuck and it becomes stagnant, and it's not where we will move or grow. So fun that the last few weeks of talk sort of lead into this end of our last day of release in November, and moving into the Advent season of hope and faith today. So always fun to have things sort of turn up that are that background. So a few things to think about: the murky water versus the clear water. So when we go to dive in, we probably don't want to be into the murky water, I'm guessing. I know how I feel about things like that, and if I go to a lake or something and I see the water is a bit rough looking, can't quite see through it, I don't want to put my feet in there all that badly because I don't know what's at the bottom. So I don't really like that feeling all that much. So my feeling is I want to look at clear water. And Dr. Masura Emoto did some tests on water, and you'll see this on your screen with the graphic. On water molecules, when things were told difficult stuff, you're evil, you're polluted, you make me sick, these things become disjointed and ugly molecules. There's a darkness to them, and you can see the colors that are there in the graphic that's there. When those same molecules were given love and hope and truth and angels and I love you and thank you, they all turned into molecules that were beautiful. And you can again see those graphics that are there. We are 80% water in our life. So we need to be in the clear and good water. We need to think of words that are always in the higher vibrations, not the low vibrations. And of course, we always create a ripple effect, right? We talk about being a drop in the ocean, but then the ocean is the whole ocean. We reach the drop that becomes the ocean. And every wave creates a ripple effect through what we do. I was having a discussion with Marg the other day, and we were talking about something called Giving Tuesday. It's like, what is Giving Tuesday about? And I just want to throw these things out there if you want to, sort of think about sort of being out in the world and where these things come from. Giving Tuesday apparently is this Tuesday coming, November 30th. It happened to be in our newsletter too. That's kind of why we looked it up. And Giving Tuesday is based on, first of all, an American tradition of Thanksgiving having just been this past Thursday, Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, a lot of purchasing going on. Tomorrow is Cyber Monday, which is more purchasing going on, and then having Giving Tuesday. And Canada has also taken this on. There's a givingtuesday.ca that says, can you give back something to your local neighborhood, to your charities that are local and want to give back? So again, out of the murky water of retail, going into the clear water of giving back. The other thing we talked about a number of years ago at Unity, and it comes up every once in a while, is complaint-free world. And this was started at a Unity, I think it was in Wisconsin. I didn't check that for sure, so correct me. But Unity said, hey, what if we got some bracelets and put them on and called them complaint-free world? And the idea was that you are mindful of complaints or negative talk. And every time something negative turns up or we make a complaint, we shift it over to the other wrist. So the bracelet moves from one wrist to the other until we have 21 days of it staying on the same wrist. And there's a thing in sort of motivational speaking that says if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So we want to have that commitment to not complaining. And that's going from the murky water to the clear water, taking the deeper dive and saying, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to pay attention to my thoughts and my words and my talk and make sure I'm committing to that positive space, that clear space of the water. And maybe you want to make more of a commitment in 2022 to coming to meditation and affirmations. Dr. Reverend Paul last week said assertions was his new favorite word, that affirmation seems a little wishy-washy to him, but assertions were better. I love all his words. I love the way he teaches and sort of brings new things to the forefront. And in 2022, if we take the deeper dive into our spirituality and unity, you might be making more of a commitment to this. Maybe you want to make a daily commitment. Maybe you want to make it a longer period of time. Maybe you want to read some different books and bring some things to light, look at just different podcasts, other things that will give you that deeper look to the clear water that we can be into. But certainly think about those things from Dr. Emoto and know that anytime that we're saying those difficult words, that murky water, we're creating bad molecules that have disjointedness and discomfort with them. And we go into the clear water of kindness, thankfulness, and peacefulness. We definitely get some beautiful molecules, which think about our internal body. It's well worthwhile. Charles Fillmore said, you can never get an affirmation from poverty. It comes from an affirmation that carries ideas of abundance that will lead you into consciousness that fulfills the law. So you can't make something happen unless you have the thought patterns about it. So it's very easy to say, oh yeah, that works for other people, but maybe not for me. No, it does work for everyone. And that is worthwhile to always think about what thoughts we're thinking and where we're carrying our thoughts to. What about the shallow end versus the deep end? I wanted to talk a little bit about finances. Finances are a funny thing. They make people a little bit uncomfortable, and that's always a bit of an issue, but energy is generosity. And this is from Bob Proctor, and I think there's some other words in here that Reverend Paul might have reflected too, that we are abundant. And I'm going to reflect it on Unity Kitchener today. We are an abundant ministry. We have become a center that has money in the bank. We have over $1 million that was done from our very thoughtful and responsible idea to sell our building and be able to move into the Zoom world knowing we can lease something, rent something, or buy something later. But it was such a good thing to do. It took us out of the deficit mindset, if you will. And now we've moved from the shallow end to the deep end of finances. Remember that in money, no one has to give. You should want to give. So when you're dealing with love offerings or tithes or giving to your community or anybody in the charities at all, just do it from your heart. Operate on the idea that generosity is not tithing or love offerings. It's who am I connected with and what fills me spiritually. That is going to the deep end. The second point said generosity is within the law of attraction. Your attitude will be reflected. And what is your attitude about money? And I know that people say they want abundance, but they struggle with it. I was just reading something on Facebook yesterday about people. There was a thing called Purpose Fairy, and it says something like, I'm very afraid of $1.6 million. It's the idea of putting it out there so maybe you don't have to be afraid of it anymore. And people were immediately saying, I don't want to have that much. It's too much to be responsible for. I just think not enough. There won't be enough. So when abundance is there, we can always give more. And if we want to give it all away, that's terrific. So live in the deep end. Go to the deep end. It is worthwhile because energy is always generosity. Doesn't it seem to you that the mind moves more freely in the presence of that boundless expanse? That the sight of it elevates the soul and gives rise to thoughts of the infinite and the ideal. How perfect to think about going to the deep end. And what happens when we're treading water or wearing our water wings instead of really diving in? Well, it tends to be kind of safe, which is good, but safety doesn't let us move. So I wonder if you want to make a new commitment to Unity Kitchener. I wonder if you want to think about being the mission to your centric. We talk about being a mission-centric space, but we want to make sure that people are involved and engaged and, again, diving in, not just treading water and, you listen on a Sunday and it's okay, but is there more you can do? Are you being called to serve more? We have community circles once every quarter. We want people to join and be enthusiastic about that. We want people to come in and say, hey, I've got some ideas. I got ideas about a team or joining a team or having a new event. As we move through the end of COVID, we'll hope that more things are being available to get created, that we can get together in different ways. I'm going to ask you too, if you would think about joining social media. I know not everybody loves social media, but we have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We have a newsletter. And if you can like those things, it lets more people see what we're doing and get it out there to the world. Once you like something, it goes onto your page as liked, and it goes back to the top of a circumstance in Instagram or Facebook. And I know when I look at my Facebook and Instagram, I have a lot of very joyful things. So sign up for things that make you happy. We want to make sure that we're a vibrant, inclusive, and fun community. We want more people to join. We want more people to come and dive in with us. So let's not continue to just tread water. Let's dive right in. We shall serve for the joy of serving. Prosperity shall flow to us and through us in unending streams of plenty. How perfect is that? That was from Charles Fillmore. And it says the spiritual life is properly approached as an exploration instead of a pursuit, a discovery, and not a goal. I think in Unity, we talk about an ever-evolving circumstance. We talk about not just taking the stories and retelling them the same way. We talk about taking a deeper dive into things as we know them and knowing they can shift and change. I think it was Charles Fillmore that said, I reserve the right to change my mind. So making a choice about something, learning about something, and then finding out, maybe we need some different words. Maybe it's time to have a different sort of take on something. We can dive into that, take that on, and know that it's an ever-evolving circumstance that we're in Unity, which is different than really any other background or religion. Everyone has their stories and they stick with them. But Unity is willing to shift and change and move. And I think I'm proud to be part of that organization. Now, I could just leave this slide up as it is because I thought this was a hilarious little graphic. Bathing suit versus skinny dipping. Now, there's a part of the deep end not everybody wants to go to, but it says skinny dipping in the spiritual sense is all good, baby, all good. I didn't make that up. I found that on the internet, which I thought was hilarious. But it struck me that as a bathing suit, we're a little covered, we're a little protected. When you're doing skinny dipping, we're in a whole different place. We're taking it all off. We're being willing to go out there and be seen. So a few things about skinny dipping. Well, it makes us vulnerable. Our whole body is being seen. We have nothing to cover. Maybe we need to be unburdened, take off the bathing suit and be in the skinny dipping stage. That takes us to diving a bit deeper. And what if skinny dipping just made us more confident? Here I am. This is who I am, and I am not ashamed to be who I am. And what if we decide to just be beautiful in our own skin? How great would that be? And I think there's a lot of us that just need that lesson to say, be beautiful in our skin, regardless of what that skin looks like. It's so good. Quick little story. Thank you, Marg, again for introducing me from the School of Optometry. I taught there for 28 years, and it was a joy in my life. I used to take students to Jamaica a couple times a year. And we would go on eye exam trips. We were based in Kingston, and we tried to go out to the coast on the weekends. And one of my colleagues that was the optometrist supervisor, he got a hold of some of the resorts on the outside coast and said, hey, if we were to do eye exams for your staff and for their family, would we be able to stay in exchange for doing those for free? And several of the resorts said, absolutely, that would be great. So each time we went, we tried to do that on a couple of our weekends. So we do a Friday, Saturday clinic, then we'd have a Sunday off at the resort. But it was just a really nice way to have the students be able to go out and see some of the coast and not always be stuck in the urban center of Kingston. We went to one resort, and this happens actually several times, but I'd have to have a little chat with the students because some of the resorts were clothing optional. So you can imagine you're taking your Canadian students along, and you have to warn them that's a clothing optional, not for anybody else but the guests. We were clothed, and all the staff was clothed, but the guest did not have to be clothed. You had to have bottoms on when you came into the dining room. That was the rule. Anyway, we'd sort of laugh about it and say, well, you know, you learn something new every day. But one of my students, I remember saying, Marilyn, I think some of these people need to be ironed. Which always made me laugh. I always thought of her. But the idea that people could be that comfortable in their own skin. They didn't worry about being models or being beautiful or not having rolls or being too skinny or too fat or anything like that. They became beautiful in their own skin. And in our spirituality, if we think of skinny dipping, we need to be beautiful in what we own and what we have in our own skin in unity. Skinny dipping allows life to wash over us. No burdens, nothing in the way. And it also allows us to be in the flow. Anything to do with rivers and lakes and streams is about water moving, about waves and moving through the waves. We want to be in the flow. That does not always mean going with the flow. Going with the flow can sometimes mean we give up our own ideas to be helpful to others, to not want to create any waves about anything, to not have those more difficult conversations, but being in the flow saying, I am confident in my own self to know my convictions. I do not have to correct anybody else, but I will let them know that we can agree to disagree, or I won't have that conversation because I know it's going to create some kind of difficulty, but you're aware of what my convictions are. So be aware of skinny dipping. It's worthwhile. And as our saying says, skinny dipping in the spiritual sense is all good, baby. All good. If you don't dip your feet in the water, you will never know if you are missing something. So what is your deep dive? It says the self is not small or big, but is both at the same time. Our spirit is like a drop in the ocean. And we think of ourselves as being one small drop, but think of how large the ocean is. Your deep dive is whatever you want it to be, whatever calls to you. But think about if you get that still small voice saying, hey, here's an idea. Hey, here's something I'm called to do. Hey, here's something I'd like to put forward. Don't hesitate. Skinny dip your way in. Be totally out there, totally confident. We're happy to have our movement here at Unity Kitchener continually move forward and embrace new ideas, new ways of doing things, new events. And we're always happy to hear from anybody in our midst. It is the first day of Advent, which is hope. It's also the first day of Hanukkah. And we think of Hanukkah as the festival of lights. It was the one day of oil in the Jewish community that lasted for 8 days. And that's where the menorah comes from. And that's where the 8 days of the Festival of Lights come from. And in hope, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And that's from Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. So there is always, always hope. What if our religion was each other? If our practice was our life? If prayer our words? What if the temple was the earth and if forests were our church? If holy water, the rivers, lakes, and oceans? What if our meditation was our relationships? The teacher was life. If wisdom was self-knowledge, and if love was the center of our being. And with that, let's go into meditation.
Let go of the shore.
We alone are like one drop. United, we are like an ocean. As we settle in and go with the flow, take a deep breath and gently close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Breathe in peace and breathe out love. While we swim through this life, we must take the time to come up for air, and we know we are fully supported as we float along. The song we'll hear at the end is I Want to Be Like Water. I want to be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons flowing from pool to stream. Want to be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. I want to put down my struggles. I want to let nature take its course. I want to remember that every storm subsides, and I want to go where the river is meant to take me. While I may be taken through some rough water, we know that there's always calm after the storm and a bright sun reflecting on the sea of life. But can I let go of the shore? Ooh, my safety net, my water wings, my life jacket. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, flow into the mystery. The mystery, knowing that there is an invisible guidance system and our conscience is our guide. When we let go, we allow ourselves the freedom to move into the flow of life and trust and embrace the mystery, seeing it as new and exciting. We fully trust in divine timing and the synchronicities of life that keep us guided and in the flow. How about we make today New Year's Day? On New Year's Day, often there's something called the polar bear dip. What if we take the polar bear dip into the icy waters of the unknown to feel renewed, refreshed, and invigorated? As we wipe the water from our eyes, we look with new eyes at what wonder-filled journeys are ahead and what is ours to do as we float over the waves. In water, remember, when there is no movement, there is stagnation. And with stagnation, our life becomes swampy. We always want to be moving in the water and move to the clear water. Let's dive into that deep end and fully embrace the swim. As we close this meditation, going back to the opening song, get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to a deeper kind of love, to a deeper kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Whether we're dipping our toes into new adventures or swimming the laps in the familiar but fun, let our soul shine. I hope these songs float through your mind this week and you smile as you think, I'm diving into the deep end.
I've seen my share of struggle when I thought that I knew best, when I've sailed through a storm instead of stopping to rest. And it always seems the hardest when I made up my stubborn mind. Well, I'm changing my ways this time. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. never seen an eagle head straight into the wind. He doesn't pick a fight, he spreads his wings and just gives in. And in the end he always makes it home just fine. I guess he knows that every storm subsides. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. I'll let nature take its course. No more thinking that I know where this river's meant to go. I have railed against the stars for the cards that I've been dealt, for the lottery I've never won, for the heartache that I've felt. But it always seems when I let go of expectation and regret, life has plenty of surprises for me, yeah. I wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea.